Conflict in interactions with other people often occurs because a word or an action or a situation brings up in our subconscious this memory of something that sucked previously, something that we went through before and we did not ever want to go through it again. And it brings up those emotions associated with that memory. And so now, rather than emotions that are congruent with the current interaction, suddenly these emotions from this previous sucky interaction has jumped in, and now we've got this conflict. And so you get caught in this cycle of accusation and defense and fighting back and forth because you believe the other person has directly caused the emotional distress that you're feeling. You believe that their actions in the present moment are what have caused the problem. And so you're believing that if you can win this present interaction, that you'll feel better. And now I'll say that it is possible that in this one interaction with this human being, it's the only time you have ever felt this emotion. But it's more likely that you have felt it some other time and this interaction just reminded you of it. Now, let me go ahead and we're going to bring out the whiteboard because whiteboards are fun. And we'll see if I can draw this out for you. See if maybe I can keep the reflection off of it. And we'll go from there. So we've got your life. Boop. Here's your life. It just goes from when you were a kid to when you get older. During that time, you have all these times in your life where something has happened that wasn't fun. Now, you come out and you get into an interaction with another human, and in this interaction, something happens that reminds you of this. So now the emotion from this goes boof and accentuates anything happened there. So the emotion isn't necessarily congruent with what happened here, even though it is fully congruent with what's going on here. But we believe that if I can solve this, then it will make this go away. And so now we've got this battle going on in this interaction that we say, I got to fix that situation. Now we bring another human in, and they've got their life, they've got their own experiences, they've got their own things that trigger them and bring that in. So they've got their things that spool them up just like you got your things that spool you up. And it gets messy because something will spool you up. You'll react. That reaction spools them up. Then they react. And now you've got this emotion, reaction, blame, back and forth. And it's just getting totally messy. So now, in close relationships, this is even worse because this is the person you expected to make you feel safe. And now they've done something that in your mind, what they did, they were supposed to make sure you never felt this way. But then they did this thing, and now you feel this way. How dare they? How fucking dared they do that thing? You would have never done that to them. You would have never said that thing. You would have never acted that way. And so now it's this battle of you need to back off, that you need to apologize, that you can't use that tone of voice. You can't look at me in that way. You can't use that word against me. It's just this battle. And you believe, and the other person believes, that if you can control the words, if you can control the interaction, that the feeling will go away. And so now it's a battle, not over who is right and who is wrong. It's a battle over who gets to feel like shit and who doesn't have to feel like shit. Either I win or you win in this present interaction, and therefore either I feel better or you feel better, but we don't both get to feel better. So this is where it has to be a hard pause, that you have to separate out the current interaction. We're separating out this current interaction from the emotion. The reason we're doing that is because we have to focus on the emotion as its own separate thing. These are not the same thing. Though they may impact each other, they are not the same thing. And so you have to learn skills to manage this emotion without changing anything about the interaction. It's not saying, if I can win this argument, if I can get you to see my way, if I can change how you behave, then I'll feel better. It's saying, I have the ability to feel better all on my own, even if nothing about the situation ever changes. And this can apply to things beyond just relationships. It's, you know what? I'm frustrated at work. And I believe that because of that frustration that I need to change work in order to feel better. But I am capable of feeling better even if I never change stuff at work. So, with that, I'm saying communication is important. You want to get back into this moment of saying, let's learn to communicate effectively. Let's learn to do that. But we're not going to use effective communication as our primary tool to feel better. We're going to figure out effective communication after we feel better. That I'm going to calm down, and once I've calmed down my distress, then we can talk about what happened in the interaction. But I'm not going to talk about the interaction in order to feel better. Often when you do that, it just ends up in making you feel like your emotions don't matter. Because it's saying, well, if you really understood what was going on, then you wouldn't feel that way. Well, if you hadn't misinterpreted me, then you wouldn't feel that way. And so now this argument is not about communication. Again, it's about who gets to feel like shit. Manage your emotions separately. Full stop. Boom. Period. Full stop on the interaction. Say, hey, this is how I feel. I need to manage it. And then once I've managed it, let's talk about what happened. Let's look at our patterns of communication. That your basic rule is any emotion, sadness, anger, frustration, disappointment, discouragement, whatever it might be, anything can be handled on its own. It requires its own specific focus, its own specific tools to manage these emotions, and then talk about the conversation. But do not use the conversation and fixing the conversation as your tool to get rid of the emotion. Calm yourself down, then communicate.